welcome back to my channel. My name is Lokit. How you doing? I am good. So today's class will be on how to make an A-line dress with an egg-tie wrap, and it's very easy to make. I actually wanted to make one for myself, and I'm like, okay, why don't I just make a video of it and put it on YouTube? Yeah. So right now I'm going to be making use of this beautiful fabric I have here, because for every Nigerian it is a must to have an A-line dress with a wrapper, because there are some occasion it looks good and perfect. So I'm going to show you step by step on how to do that. It is just a free dress fitted at the shoulder area and the bust area, and then free from the waist, the hip, and just, you know, that lovely A-line shape. So let's go to the work table, and please you can check out my other channel, Pattern Drafting with Bilki's Kitchen. Yeah, and Bilki's Kitchen, I'm coming with full force. So please subscribe there, and you can follow me on Instagram, Bilki's Signatures, and on Facebook, Sewing Innovations. So right now let's go to the work table. I am making use of an African print fabric for this dress I'm about to make. You can use any type of material at all for your A-line dress, any type of fabric. And mostly this comes by 45 inches in length, most African print fabric by 45 inches and a length of 6 yards. So because I'm making a long dress, I wouldn't be able to fold by the length. So meaning I'll be folding by the width of the 6 yards. Then you will need the length of your dress to be able to know how to fold. And I'll be folding on the wrong side. You will need to note the wrong side before you cut it out, because most good African print fabric you hardly know the right from the wrong. So you need to know that before cutting at all with the selvage area. So I am going to fold by the length. The length of my dress is usually 63 inches, but I will be folding, I'll be cutting like 45, because I will need some seam allowance at the upper parts. So as you can see, this is the length, which is by 45. I'm folding by the width, which goes 6 yards. So you're just going to fold by the largest circumference. So this is what you have. And the length is 63 for me, but I'll be cutting out 65 because of seam allowance for the lower part and the upper part. How do you know the amount to fold? You will use your largest circumference. My largest circumference is my hip. Mostly all women, your largest circumference is by your hip, and if yours is the bust, you make use of the bust. So now you just divide your hip measurement by 4. So I'll be dividing 46 inches by 4, which will give me 11 and half. To the 11 and half, I'm going to add extra 8 inches to that. Why? Because we are still going to have some seam allowance to the lower part and also the side seam allowance. So 11 and half plus extra 8 inches, that should be 19 and half. So let me just fold by 20. So 20 is fine. Okay, I have like 21 here, which is okay. So I can just move it backward a bit to have 20 inches. Marked my vertical measurement. Starting from the base, this will be the starting point, the starting line here. So from there, I'm going to insert half of my armhole, which is 8.5 inches, going down 16.5 for my vertical waist measurement, from the nape of my neck to my waist. Then going to my hip, which is 24 inches, and from this 24 inches all down to have 64. The length of my dress is actually 63 plus 1 inch seam allowance, that makes it 64 inches. So having done that, now we can start drafting from the upper part. So I'll have to bring the camera closer. The first thing I will insert is the 3 inches, 8 inches standard. If you've been following me by now, you should know what that means to determine the shoulder slope. And from the 8 inches, I'll come down by 1 inch to determine the shoulder slope. Having done that, I'm going to insert the shoulder, half of the shoulder measurement. So half of my shoulder measurement is 8.5. So if yours is before the shoulder slope, you insert it. If yours is 7, that means it's going to be something like this. So I'll have to insert my 8.5. So my armhole line is formed now. Before I finish the armhole line, let me quickly insert my horizontal measurement. My bust circumference is 42. Because I want a free dress, I'll make it 46. So 46 divided by 4, that's 11.5. 46 divided by 4 is 11.5. So I'll have to insert 11.5 here. Then plus 1 inch seam allowance for the side, or I can just keep it half an inch, any 1 or 3/4. I will make use of 3/4. Then coming to the waist. Waist circumference is 38, so when I divide that by 4, I will have 9.5. So instead of that 9.5, I'm going to make it 10 inches. Because I want it to be free. So extra 3/4 seam allowance. To the hip, my hip circumference is 46. When I divide that by 4, I'll have 11.5. But I'm just going to make that, I'm going to add extra 1 inch to that to make it 12.5 or 13. Let me just make it 13 so that it's going to be very free. So the amount of ease you add to your dress totally depends on your preference. Then the additional 3/4 inch, because I want it to be free as possible. And I will connect with my hip curve from the waist to the hip. If you don't have this, you can just use the straight ruler. So now we can finish the upper part. So all you have to do is to get the midpoint of the armhole line. For the front, I'll go in by 3/4 inch. That's the front armhole and the back. So we are good as well. So quickly now the neckline. For the neck width, I'll make use of 4 inches. Then for the depth, I will make use of 5. Between 4.5 to 5 is okay. Then for the back, that will be 1 inch or 1.5. So this is for the back. And for the front. This is the back neckline and the front neckline. So what I will do now is to move the fabric upward. So I'm going to move it upward this way. So now I can see the hem of my dress. Now we are working on the hip to the hem of the dress. So it is simple, just take the measurement of what you have here. So here I have a total of 14, including the seam allowance. So just add extra 5 inches to that. A maximum of 6. So 14 plus 5, that will make it 19. And with my 1 meter ruler, I'll just connect that. So can you see what we have? So quickly on the lower part, before we just cut it all up, I'm just going to go up by 1.5 to 2 inches at the upper part here. Then use my hip curve to just blend it into the dress. can use the straighter part of the hip cuff. So that's what I have. So let's start cutting from here. So because we are going to use this to cut the back panel, so we'll be cutting out. So we'll be cutting out the back armhole and the back neckline first. So that will be the first thing to cut out. And don't forget to add 1/2 inch seam allowance for the shoulder seam allowance. I've added mine now. You can use your chalk, but I've added the 1/2 inch. That was so easy. So this is what we have. So I'm going to fold the same way so that we can use this to cut exactly the same thing. I've cut out the back panel using the exact same pattern. So what I will do is to remove the front so that we can finish that. Let me mark this because the high quality African print, it is difficult to differentiate the back and the front. So back to the front. So I'm going to finish up the neckline and the armhole. The front and back ready. You can make use of any type of sleeve at all, like you can use a flare sleeve, a ruffle sleeve like the one I have on, or a straight sleeve, short sleeve, long sleeve. That totally depends on your preference. If you don't know how to cut a basic sleeve, I'll put the link in the description box below. So right now we are going to cut the hair wrap. I have 2.5 yards fabric left from the main fabric, from a fabric of 6 yards. So meaning for the main dress I made use of 3.5 yards. That's quite much for a tall person, but if you are not so tall, you can make use of 3 yards. But for me, that is what I've used. So from the pieces, it's okay for a short sleeve and then for your facing. But except you are making use of a flat sleeve or a long sleeve, you might need to make cut from the 2.5 yards. So now going into the hair tie, for me, I make use of 1 yard because I want it to be full. Even for older women in Nigeria, they use up to 1.5 yards because my mom's hair tie is enough for me as a wrapper. So you should understand what I'm saying. And some women just like it just simple. So it ranges from a little over 1/2 yard. So 1/2 yard is 18. So for some people, this 18 inches is okay for them. Or make it 20 or maybe key 25, but I'm making use of 1 yard. So 36, so that's somewhere around here. So I'll show you how to finish the edges. So this is my head wrap. So I just turn it and so which is quite okay, except if I want more. So now let's cut the facing and start sewing it up. It's time to cut the facing. So all I did was to take the leftover fabric, fold it, then take the front, make sure this folded part aligns with the folded part of the fabric. Then you can just trace it with your chalk. So you might be wondering that my A-line dress doesn't have a zipper. Most A-line dress doesn't have a zipper, but meaning you need to consider the neckline. That's very important because you should be able to wear it over your head. So you will need a zipper if it is a very high neck that cannot pass through your head, but most of these A-line dresses are wide enough to accommodate your head, so you need to use a wider neckline. So having traced it, I'll mark 3 inches or 3.5. Just trace that all around. Facing for the front. So I'm going to do the same thing to the back. To start sewing the dress, we'll start from the facing. So for instance, this is the back. So make sure the right side of the facing is facing the right side of the fabric. Then you run 1/2 inch seam allowance all around, just sew it in. Then for the front, make sure it is facing the right side of the fabric. Then I'm going to sew 1/2 inch. So after doing that, I'm going to notch, then turn it to the wrong side. Also the same thing, notch and turn to the wrong side. Then I can sew up the shoulders before attaching the sleeve. Line has been fixed with the facing. So let me just show you. So can you see how that looks? So after turning it initially, and you see, make sure you notch it. So all you have to do is to make sure the facing on one side, and you see the facing will be together when joining the shoulder. Then you just sew it all down. The same thing to the other side. Then you can bring it out to have a perfectly neat facing. So having done that, now the next thing is to attach the sleeve. Here I'm using a flutter sleeve. And you see, so all I have to do at this stage is to attach the sleeve to it on both sides. And after that, I'm just going to sew in 3/4 inch from the beginning to the end. That was the seam allowance I left at the sides. Then hem the lower parts. So if you want a pocket, you can have it. Head tie, and this is just the easiest thing to do. All you have to do is to hem the sides. Just hem it, just 1/2 inch, fold in 1/2, then 1/2. So that's all around the square. So first one, the lower part, the upper part, and then the last side. So that is it on the head tie. You can even make this without making a dress to it, and then you tie on your t-shirt, and it looks so beautiful. Can you see my flutter sleeve? So wonderful. I have a video on how to make a short A-line dress with a flutter sleeve, which I'll put the link in the description box below. This is my head wrap, so beautiful, and it's going to be full. So this is the dress. Let me just show you this way. So the head wrap and then the dress itself. If my tutorial on how to make this dress has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I remain your girl, Blakies. Bye.